Hello everyone, welcome to the Resonite recap stream for the month of April. We'll be covering all the cool stuff that happened during the past month, all the sort of newsworthy kind of things and developments. We also gonna have business officers. Bob is gonna tell us, about how the business is going, show us some cool numbers, and we also at the end open it to questions. So if you'd like to ask us anything, you'll have opportunity to do so after we get to our main topics. I'm Fruxis. I'm here with Ariel from marketing, Bob, our financial officer. We got Daru from our team, Aegis as well from our team, Nex from media, and TBD. So let's get started. So before we get into the specific topics, we'd also like to mention there's always lots of things that happen every single month. We have closed 94 GitHub issues, so there's a lot of little things, a lot of kind of problems kind of resolved. But the one you probably already heard about, which pun intended, is the Awwdio system. Awwdio, that's our new in-house audio engine, which is essentially powering everything you can hear in Resonite, including our voices, including all the sound effects, all the music, everything you hear is now being processed through Awwdio system. This is a big deal because previously our system was a hybrid. We were essentially relying on parts of Unity engine for doing stuff like audio culling and audio spatialization and the kind of final mixing. We had our own systems for decoding and processing the audio, but the final audio output that you actually hear, that was processed by Unity. That was one of the issues that was sort of tying our engine, Frux engine, into Unity, making it hard to pull it out into its own process for the big performance update. That's why we implemented fully custom system that's completely ours. It is built against some libraries like Steam Audio that we were using before, but all the audio mixing, culling, and so on, that's our own system. And so now the audio system is fully ours, fully contained in the Frux engine, and fully outside of Unity. Meaning the Unity audio system is completely gone, it's disabled, and we are handling that ourselves. This finishes the last major component that we needed to replace with our own system to be able to do the splitting, which is going to be what actually gives us the big performance boost by being able to use .NET 9, which is going to be the next task after this. Awwdio, it went through a lot of testing. We're testing for over a month. We got quite a big participation. There's a lot of issues that help polish the system up and have a relatively smooth release. We're actually running on that build right now because it's now kind of public. The main goal for this initial release of Awwdio is feature parity, which means most of the functions are the same. It should sound roughly the same, maybe a bit crisper in some areas because we have a little bit more control. But overall, we didn't work on adding too many new features to make it as fast as possible to be able to get to the splitting. But there's a few little nuggets. For example, the system now supports a Doppler effect for anything, for video streams, for voices, and by using a pitch shifting effect, which works pretty well. And since we integrated the effect, which was integrated thanks to Cyro, part of our engineering team, you can now also just apply it statically. And I think Aegis would like to give us a little demo. On every single audio output, there's now a pitch thing. So can I just talk normally first and then change it?
I mean, when Frux means on every audio source,
including my own voice, including your voice or anybody's.
Videos or streams or
audio clip players or even
You can do this for literally anything. On any audio output, you can just change the pitch shift, and we already see people just having lots of fun with it. Some people made when they become small or big, their voice goes deep or high. People are literally things. So yeah, you can do helium balloons. Right. So there's little bits like that. We're also still going to be doing a little bit of polish. There's a few bugs that need to be fixed up, and one of the features that we will implement before moving to the splitting is ability to have a separate audio listener for the camera, because it's going to help a little bit of streaming, and it's not a big feature to add because the majority of the plumbing for that is already in place. So that's probably gonna come out like sometime early next week. Overall, the system, it seems to perform like pretty well. People have been kind of like playing with it, like it seems to be like quite robust. There's new settings as well. You can, for example, lower its latency. Although that might come, especially as long as we're still like using Unity, that might come at a cost of like causing some crackles. So that's kind of trade-off you make based on your own preferences and based on how your system performs. By default, the system should have the same latency as the previous Unity-based system. There's also another big piece that comes with Awwdio. It's technically a separate project, and it's called Spatial Variables. That's a separate project that's been on the roadmap for a bit, and it turned out during development of Awwdio, it was actually a really useful system to implement the reverb zones. Because for reverb zones, you essentially have like a sphere in the world where you need to determine if something is inside of that sphere, and depending where in that sphere, it activates an effect, which is the reverb. Instead of making a system that would be useful just specifically for the reverb zones, we end up like integrating spatial variables, which is a more generalized version of that system, which is used for the reverb zones. The Awwdio system will use it to probe which reverb effects should be active at particular points in space, but you can use it for anything, any data type. You can use numeric data types, you can use references. For numeric types, there's even components where they give you like more complex behaviors. Like for example, they will sum up all the values at a specific point, or maybe compute a weighted average. And what just to back up a little bit, what the spatial variables essentially let you do is let you define what values should be present at different points in space, and then sample that. Which is a very powerful mechanism to implement lots of different things. So this is a very powerful system. We've already seen people do some really cool things with it, and we think this is just the beginning of it. It's been like one of the highest voted like issues on our GitHub as well. So like people seem they're very excited, like with everybody being excited about them. So with that, we can move to our next topic, which is from the content team. So Aegis, would you tell us about like the content team like additions for the past month?
Let me make sure my voice is back to normal real quick.
Yes.
Throughout the week, or the month rather, is going through and finishing up any kind of models that needed to be touched up, rather to keep consistency within the design flow, like how everything looks. A lot of the old ones have been made in Substance Painter using big textures. And say if you have like a whole bunch of different textures of say the tools, for example, and you spawn them out in the world, those are a lot of individual assets loaded at once. So going through updating each tool to not only share materials but also textures between them would help with like loading them within memory. As well as some other things like the world upload pedestal. The avatar itself has a bit more updates to it, even some more texture updates too. A lot of that was talked over in the art team office hours as well too. Thanks to Gareth48 and Rue and I, we went through and learned quite a bit about maps as well, especially since you implemented the thing about making custom maps and how to, well, set that up in there is pretty neat. Some of the other things that has been worked on and is still in progress is the tutorial world, the avatar gazebo, and the cloud home. One of the major things that's being worked on right now is updating the teleporter system that's within there. At the end of the tutorial, you'll be able to go into this teleporter like device. It's pretty much the same thing, updated with photon dust. I know Ravi's gonna mess around with spatial variables now with it, and it's gonna be able to take users that are brand new to the platform, or say if they're in their cloud home and they want to use it as well, it'll be there too in the new version of it, where you'll be able to either say go to the avatar gazebo, back to the tutorial world, or to use a kind of like an active sessions list, because it'll show like all the different populated worlds using the active sessions data feed that's within Resonite. And you'll be able to see all the top populated worlds and go directly to there right from the tutorial if you wanted to. It'll also be in the avatar gazebo as well too, although I do have to update the layout for it too. So, oh, one more important detail too is the tools will used to have like sort of a category of like what each of them do. Going through and categorizing the tools, color coding them, they already have unique shapes, but the colors didn't really mean that much until now. Going through a lot of the devlog goes over like the thought process of what each tool category does. So I think that covers it though. A lot of it is more into the our team office hours and the devlog as well too.
Yeah, general like office hours are also like a really good place. Like we want to like learn more in detail what each of the teams does. Our team like hosts yours, I think it's Wednesday, right?
Yes.
For those ones, Pro Prime hosts on like Tuesday. There's moderation office hours on Sunday, as well as my office hours for like engineering and general Resonite stuff on Sunday as well. So if you're like interested in learning more stuff like about this, like I recommend popping into those. Plus, like watch the devlog on our Discord where different team members we post like a lot of cool things that we're working on. That's excellent. Thank you just for the update. Then we can move to the next topic, which is general quality of life improvements. So like I mentioned at the beginning, there's a number of like smaller additions, fixes that kind of happen throughout the month. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's fewer, depending like where the focus is. One of the notable things, probably Prime, who's part of our engineering team, he's done a lot of kind of bug fixes to headless. He's improved the error logging because whenever the headless would start, there would be like a lot of exceptions and like spooky looking messages and so on. And he's kind of went through a lot of these, made sure like they don't appear if they don't need to be there, and if they do appear, so it kind of gives actually a better error. Or even in some cases, some things would throw an exception, and it would kind of have a very cryptic error. And now it's gonna give a much more specific, saying maybe this configuration is wrong, or maybe this thing is wrong, and it's gonna give like more user-friendly message on what went wrong. Sometimes even references the wiki, where we can find more information about what's going on with the headless. He did also work with some of the community members to update the native libraries like the Berkeley and the Compersonator, which now work on Linux, which they previously didn't, which was like a limitation where Linux headless servers could not compress certain libraries. He's already made improvements for the Asset Variant server, so it can be moved to Linux, but this brought those improvements into headlesses available to everyone. There's also like general like improvements like the logging and some other things. So there's like some good kind of quality of life, especially for people who host sessions. With that one, we can move to the next topic. We have a new team member. So at the beginning, when I was saying like we have like like was interesting everyone, we have a Godly over there who's like being conveniently over the camera. Hello, Godly.
Hi. That's
Hello.
me. My name's all rainbow now.
It's a rainbow.
Here, let me enable out the nameplate so they can see that.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
She's a rainbow.
Yeah.
It glows. Carly, like he's been like one of the like long-term members of like our community. He's been like making a lot of cool stuff. And when we were working with the Stripe implementation, he has helped us essentially like get it done, like taking over like the implementation and making sure it gets pushed through, which I was going to be talking about as well, because that saves us quite a bit of like money. And because we were really interested in working with Godly, we decided to bring in on part-time to help us specifically with like cloud side of things, like the website, doing like sort of backend stuff and so on. I was like going to make other contributions as well, but that would be like his major kind of focus. Is there anything like you'd like to say, Godly? Putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, no, I certainly don't have a speech prepared, but I can definitely say after spending a few years on this platform and being part of the community and everything, it was definitely like kind of a dream of mine, right? To get to contribute to it in a super meaningful way. So yeah, I'm just really excited to get that opportunity and be a part of the team. Thank you.
Yay. Well, thank you for being with us. And again, welcome to the team.
Thanks so much.
We're very excited to like work with you and like see like more what improvements can you make to the platform. I think that's everything for this part, which means we can actually move to our last topic, which is Bob's office hours, and he's going to be touching on some of the Stripe stuff too.
Awesome. Hey everyone, glad to be here for another recap stream. I'm going to switch to Shout real quick. I have some very serious slides to go over, so I need to put on my very serious business avatar.
It's going to increase their stonks for sure.
I would say this avatar suits me. Ow.
That was a cheesy joke.
When I was in Vienna, our business partners with our business partners VRSys last year, they did a 3D scan of me, and last week they rigged and sent it to me for fun. So special shout out for Sid. He's the one that you can blame for delivering this cursed monstrosity directly to the eyeballs of Twitch chat.
Look like a 2D picture right now, like through and through with the front.
First real slide showing the size of our user base and a new user acquisition over the past 6 months. So there was a definite slowdown in April, but we're largely not concerned. Our brilliant minds of our engineering, art, and marketing teams have been cooking some major releases by the summertime. I've been working with Ariel on signing some deals with YouTubers to highlight all these releases after they come out. A lot of these are household names that you'll be very familiar with, but we also bagged a few you're going to be pleasantly surprised in seeing. All of this will lead to some explosive user growth from July and onwards. Stay tuned for announcements on our Discord, and please continue to support us by liking and commenting on sponsored videos when they are released. Let's move on to the next slide, where we have the 6-month breakdown of our business-to-consumer revenue. There is a trickle of users coming over from Patreon to Stripe. A lot of the users took advantage of the $10 annual subscription, and pretty much the entire delta in revenue between the last 2 months is the annual signups in February and March, not generating revenue in April. At our current trajectory, we're on track of hitting about 75% of revenue moving to Stripe by the end of the year. I do want to pause and rant about a related topic, though. Patreon is one problem, but there is a middleman that exists between them and our bank. It's called Payoneer, and we've been using them to pay everyone on staff for the past 1.5 years. Unfortunately, this month, they have instigated a bunch of additional fees that are reaching directly into our team member pockets and taking their hard-earned money. They are charging double to triple the rate of alternative services. Additionally, they've been holding up payments and tying people down in nebulous bureaucracy. I've spent 5 hours this week on the phone with them trying to get Ruse payment through, and their entire system goes down mid-call. It's not only in Resonite's financial interest to move away from Patreon, but all the team members as well. The faster we get rid of Patreon and Payoneer, the sooner we're going to migrate payroll to a more reasonable service. All right, let's move on to the next slide and talk about something a little bit less aggravating. In Q1 of this year, we eked out a small profit. This slide talks about our previous 5 months of income and revenue, and you can see that business to consumer sales is flat, but business to business sales is down. I'll take responsibility for that, and I'm going to explain it in a minute. You can also see the cost of sales greatly decreased with the Stripe implementation, saving us thousands of dollars. Actually, can we get a zoom in on that? I'm not sure if Twitch chat can actually read all of this. We did spend marketing dollars in Q1, but we'll have a little spend in Q2, and we'll have significantly more in the second half of the year. Our server costs are flat, and legal and accounting costs remain fairly low. Now I want to explain our spike in miscellaneous costs and talk about our upcoming plans in the next few months. Last summer, I flew to Europe, resulting in some business deals that gave us a spike in revenue. I just did a business trip to Japan in February, trying to drum up sales with our partners Weavers, but those deals are still in the early stages. Most of the miscellaneous costs are associated with that trip, and additionally, I'm going to be doing a world tour over the next few months. Later in May, I'll be visiting a potential new business partner in America. For the entire month of June, I'll be in Austria working with VRSys on European deals. And for the entire month of July, I'll be in Japan and we'll be working with a Weverse team on closing the deals we started developing earlier this year. In both of those months, we will be doing live meetups and host a corresponding session in Resonite. So do stay tuned for those announcements. While we did not make a pile of profits in Q1, the fact that we are bootstrapped and a startup running a clean, profitable business is an amazing accomplishment within itself. Our cash position is very solid, and we're setting ourselves up for explosive growth in the second half of the year. We will probably see a similar spike in revenue and profits as we did in the second half of 2024. That's all I have for this recap stream, but next month I'll be delivering it from Austria from VRSys' new headquarters.
That's very exciting. Thank you so much, Bob. And like I'm sure like people like appreciate like a little transparency on the numbers and like a lot of the business parts. So with that, that's kind of covering our major topics, which means we can now open it to questions from the chat. So if you'd like to ask us anything, whether it has to do with development, whether it has to do with business, art, like any part of the team, make sure that your message actually ends with a question mark at the end of it. That way it kind of pops on our thing, and we'll be able to answer it. So let's get started with the questions.
Anything.
Anything, or we can just do like silly voices. So we got a question. Well, that's not a question. We got Jack the Fox Squatters cheering. So thank you so much for the bits. And it's going spatial variables.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. One is actually a question. Let me put it over there. I'm gonna move this here. Eclipse Cork is asking, is there a component that allows for control of assets being loaded or unloaded? There's a component that lets you force an asset to be loaded. Typically, assets will like load or unload. They will load or unload like when something needs them. So like if you have like, for example, something rendering a mesh that forces that mesh to be loaded. And if something needs it to be loaded, like you cannot force it to unload because that renderer is forcing it to be loaded. There, however, is a component that lets you load it like when nothing else would want to load it, but it kind of depends what you're doing. The next question is actually a serious one. Check the Fox Authors asking, what are the next steps in regards to the splitting? So, like I mentioned earlier, earlier, there's gonna be a little like a few more like fix-ups to Awwdio, just kind of polish things out, because usually when we do major release and major swap of a subsystem, there's some issues that kind of pop up that don't appear during the pre-release testing. There's already a few that have been kind of been fixed up. There's a few remaining, plus like a few extra features that are gonna help, but it's gonna take too much time. So pretty much the next step after that, sometime next week, is work on the actual splitting. What the splitting is, it is essentially like, all the tasks to sort of rework how Flux Engine communicates with Unity, so it can be done over shared memory, over an IPC mechanism, and then Flux Engine can run in a separate process. There's like a few small bits that need to be kind of moved around, like some kind of like the input systems and so on, but these are like relatively small ones, so they're going to be done as part of the splitting. With both Photon DAS and Awwdio now done, those are the major systems that are sort of like entangling Flux Engine with Unity. Those are now gone, which means the main work can actually be the splitting itself, like reworking of the communication mechanism and then running it in its own process, which is gonna give us, the big performance boost. There's gonna be a design phase for that because, we have like a general idea on how it's gonna kind of communicate. Like there needs to be all specifically blocked out and decided this is how it's gonna communicate the data stuff that needs to be rendered and then implemented. So that's pretty much gonna be the next major focus. A random meatball is asking, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could use spatial variables?
Yes.
As much as RAM, yes. Yeah, that's a good answer. As much as your RAM can fit. It's at least 7.
I've crunched
7.
the numbers. It actually, the correct amount is 7.
7 is always the correct number.
That tracks.
True.
Next question is from Ace on Twitch 17. Would a switch to Net 9 help bring in more businesses with Resonite to having more performance? Oh, it definitely would. And it's like a thing that like we talk about, like, you know, with Bob and others on the team, like the businesses, they also want better performance. So that's
Oh yeah.
is one of those things that's just like it's a good priority just across the board. Like it helps, you know,
That's
on
also
the
true.
consumer side, like everybody, you know, playing Resonite, the businesses benefit from it.
Yeah,
It's just overall a good priority.
If we have a business that says, you know, I have like 1,000 low-end laptops, like how do we get all of our employees, you know, instead of using a Zoom call, how do we get them into a session on all of these corporate laptops? And the only way that happens is if we get performance. So the users are benefiting as well as our business clients.
Exactly.
It essentially like lowers, like, you know, the kind of barrier of entry, because now people with weaker computers, you know, both businesses, also like end users, are now able to, like, you know, enjoy Resonite and explore like all the stuff it has to offer. Anyway, with that, that's all our questions for now. So thank you very much, everyone, you know, for watching the stream, for watching the recap. Thank you everyone here for you know, for helping with the stream, like helping talk about like what you do and helping answer the questions. And thank you everyone, you know, for supporting Resonite, making cool stuff. It's thanks to your support, both like, you know, on Patreon, on Stripe, and even if you just, you know, if you're just part of the platform, we're hanging out and being part of the community, that helps us grow and make this place better every day. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you so for supporting us. And we'll see you next month with another recap update. And if you wanna, like, you know, chat with us more, there's the office hours. Check our Discord. There's, like, you know, the events section, which has like a specific times. You can ask us, you know, more questions throughout the month as well. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone here, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Good day.
Bye.
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 Well,